What would you get if you took a group of today's top surfers and gave them a chance to ride a collection of surfing's most iconic boards from the past, as well as the most intriguing shapes of the future? You'd get Red Bull Decades, a new web series that shows where surfing has come from and where it's going.
I think riding all these surfboards opens my mind, which at the end of the day I think helps broaden my horizon. It makes me think this is your lifestyle. You might as well live it to the fullest and ride all these different boards.
Before the trip, Red Bull enlisted 3 forward-thinking surfboard designers to give us their respective takes on what the surfboard of the future would look like. What the crew got was a handful of unique and interesting shapes that pushed the limits of what the surfers were accustomed to riding. Now the boards you see here are obviously very different than the equipment these guys have been riding throughout this project, but this is the vision that these shapers have for the future. You see different outlines, a lot of new materials being used, and flex patterns, carbon fiber. These boards are a look at what we may see in the future of surfboard design. Of course, we'll leave it up to the surfers to see if they work.
I think the athletes decide the future. The surfing they want to do, if the boards we're making them can't allow them to do what they want to do, then we have to adapt and change our materials and our designs to allow them to get where they want to go.
In mono-run, he said that you can't stand back on this narrow part. So I'm gonna have to stand up here. Unless you want it to be stiff, then you stand back there. But I want it to be loose, so I'm gonna stand up here. And I don't know. It looks fun, I'm excited.
I look at this Meyerhofer board in the beginning of the trip and I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna ride, who let this guy shape a board for our trip? So I paddle out, first wave, I'm like, bottom turn, hit the lip. I was like, whoa, what? And then I did a cutback and I was like, whoa, this thing was like really responsive. So I paddled back out and I caught another set. And I could see Julian wasn't stoked. He was like turning around to burn me, and I just slammed the lip right behind him, and he thought I was gonna eat it for sure, and I just came down, boop, and I was like, oh, this board is badass. And it went from being the most ugly, worst looking board I've ever seen to actually a really fun board. It worked like a normal surfboard, but it was a little bit different, which was the cool thing.
We get a certain mindset that this is the way things should look. And really, that whole thing is developed out of function. And so when function changes, it's hard to get your mind around the form of it, the beauty of it, because you've been looking at something that is a certain shape. That's where your mind has been, like the fine shape of the surfboard.
When I got on the wave, it felt really loose when I was trying to turn. Like, it was kind of hard to control. But then when I would like try to get a little barrel, I think because the edges go up, the edge is so hard all the way through it, it was like really stick to the wave real good. So I think we got some good barreling waves. I bet it'll work mental. This looks like it would work more normal, but it was actually the most out of control out of all the boards I rode.
A lot of futuristic things going on now. Look at what Daniel Thompson's doing. He's taking it to a whole new level.
It looks like a boogie board with fins, but it really holds in well. Like, you could do hard carves and put that thing in really tight places.
The Tomo boards were actually like an eye-opener. You know, Julian just ripped the shit out of this board. I've seen him do like 10 backside vertical snaps.
It feels a lot more like skating, riding that board. You kind of stand up on a wave on that board and you just instantly think that you can do an ollie on this board. Like, just the way that the board's shaped and the way the rails are really straight and just the feel of being on it, it just feels like you can race down the line and ollie off a section.
Overall, these four surfers met the challenge of riding these boards with relative ease. Julian Wilson summed up the trip best in saying,
To keep things fresh and exciting and challenging, you need to ride different boards, and the opportunity to ride all these different boards was an amazing experience, and to do it with 3 other guys who I've surfed with quite a lot in the past and get along with, it was a really cool experience and one that I won't be forgetting.
not only does this show how good these 4 surfers are, but it's also a testament to how these surfboards have stood the test of time and become iconic. At the end of the day, to truly comprehend and project on what the future of the surfboard will be, you must first explore the past and open your mind to what's possible. This is Red Bull Decades.